Smyers. I'm going to start this bad boy up.
I'll dance like her.
Welcome to Control Talk Now. This is your host, Eric Stromquist. It's control news for the week ending July 6, 2014. I am joined, as usual, by the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only coffee-drinking Kenny Smyers from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show, big dog.
Thanks, Eric. How you doing? You're all chipper this morning. It's good. That's good. You'll inspire me. Bring me through this.
Hey, I hear you, big dog. I hear you. Well, hey, it's another day. 4th of July weekend. What'd you guys do? Anything fun this weekend?
This was an off year for 4th of July. My wife had to work through the whole Friday, Saturday, and today. So, we didn't have any visitors. Normally we have the kids come in, but they're all grown up now and they're all doing their own thing. So, I was watching a lot of TV, watching Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Went through a bunch of control trends articles, and that's about it. What'd you do? You had a big weekend, huh?
Well, family was in. Anna's mom and dad are in from Las Cruces, New Mexico, so they're in. They're just awesome people. I mean, that's one of the blessings in life when you get in-laws you truly, truly like. That is just a bonus as far as I'm concerned. So they came in. We went over to the lake. Spent a little time over there. Anna's mom bought Evelyn a little sailor outfit, so I had to take some pictures of her in that.
Saw that. It's very pretty.
Yeah, so I thought that was, normally our Mr. Jones comes up and has a great 4th of July picture he posts, but I beat him to the punch this year, Kenny, and Evelyn Grace got to be the 4th of July picture this year. So we hope everybody out there is having a great 4th of July, but Kenny, hey, have a lot going on this week, so what do you say we break it down? What do we have up first, big dog?
We sure do, Eric. The first thing was a Department of Energy's Better Building Case Competition Challenges with collegiate teams. This is kind of a just a gee whiz type of post, but we're talking about the grassroots movements, for education and development in our particular HVAC career fields. How you don't come to one university and come out as a master systems integrator. Although we sure would like to find that formula out. But this is just the government sponsors efficiencies and all the technologies, and then you have colleges across the country competing, like Columbia University, Carnegie Mellon University, Stanford, University of California, Santa Barbara. Anyhow, they're coming up, they're experimenting with efficiencies, with the solar, wind turbine. It's just an amazing opportunity to see who has the most innovative curriculum as a school. So if you go to the website, you'll see that there was, I think, 6 winners in different categories, and then the opportunity to continue the competition. So I think it's a great product or a great program that the government is doing to just focus on energy efficiency, sustainability, and reduce the carbon footprint. Ultimately,
no, absolutely, Kenny. I think it's very encouraging that we're doing this, and I think a lot of this is inspired by Obama's reduce energy consumption by 20% in the next decade. I know in the city of Atlanta, they're busy with that, so I think a lot of the cities are adopting this as well. We've talked at length about the need to get more people involved, if you will, and trained. So it seems like by introducing this at the college level, the collegiate level, that we'll maybe get more people interested in our industry. And of course, if they ever watch the Control Trends Awards, they will know that they will be recognized, Kenny, as superstars. So, that being said, Kenny, I mean, interesting statistics depending on who you read, but when I read today, 41% of the energy consumed on the planet is by commercial buildings, which is more than the transportation industry, and they contribute to 21% of the carbon footprint. So this is work that needs to be done, and it's good to see our industry rising to the challenge. What do we have up next, Kenny Smyers?
Well, it was very well said, Eric, and that's a good segue into the next post, which was Dell's Internet of Things roadmap and productization for smart buildings market segment. This is just the beginning. Well, I'll tell you, these we had a couple of posts this last past week that were very well, visited. Hundreds, thousands of people are catching on to what's going on. But Dell made a big splash at the Realcomm IBCOM 2014 when they introduced their roadmap, basically their vision, and they're very straightforward, and they had prepared themselves well. But Dell is introducing new research on smart buildings and will join Intel to discuss its findings, which they did at the Realcomm IBCOM. But it enables building automation as the key element of Dell's strategy in supporting customers around the world and across various industries, realizing their vision of Internet of Things. But basically, they came out with a white paper. We have a direct link on the Control Trends website. They'll take you to Dell's white paper. And then they came up with four of their four recommendations. Define the organization's as is and to be state. Take stock in the current systems and subsystems in a centralized list. Evaluate your technology and project timelines. Open reference architecture, utilizing non-proprietary open reference architecture systems. And finally, industrialization. The architect an industrial environment and provide software development for the architecture so teams can develop software across disparate systems. So Dell is definitely in the building management space, Eric, and we are trying to grapple with the realities that what this might mean to our business as usual. Somebody's moving our cheese, huh?
Oh, I think so, Kenny. I think so. Fascinating post by Dell. They're in it in a big way. According to the Dell people, at least 30% of energy is wasted in buildings through inefficiencies that they believe, and I would not disagree with this, through better control, that energy should be easily recoverable and saved. So on that point, we agree completely. It was interesting in that white paper, I think it was point 3, they talked about, they said that your system must have open architecture. That proprietary systems get in the way of things. So interestingly enough, Dell is an advocate of the open systems. Now it'll be interesting because, Kenny, you and I talk a lot about what open really is, and it'd be interesting to query them and find out if their definition of open is you just talk to BACnet or LAN or an open language, or if they, like us, believe that open is much more than that you have to have the same access to the same tools, programming tools, you have to have multiple people that can install and work on your system, and you have to have all the programming tools that your installing contractor has. So if somebody from Dell is listening, we would love to have the opportunity to have you come on and maybe talk with us a bit about this on Control Talk Now. But I think it'd be really interesting, Kenny, to do a deeper dive with Dell and Intel. We had a chance to talk with Intel folks, as you know, at the IBCON conference. Very intelligent people. I think the takeaway Kenny and I came away with is these people have money. They're sincerely interested in moving in the space. I think they're doing it in a very pragmatic way. So stay tuned to Control Trends, because we're going to stay on top of this, because this is going to affect us, being guys that are working in the trenches every day in the business, so to speak, not just reporting on it. We have a vested interest in finding the right answers to this and understanding the ramifications of how this can affect us at a very base level, meaning, do we get paychecks, right?
Well, you're right, Eric, and there's a lot of posts that are going to relate to the Dell entry, but I was able to find out more information on the Intel Quark SoC X1000, and I got their software stack off the internet, and when you talk about open protocols and you talk about the ability to remove the hindrances for optimization, so all the silos talk. Wouldn't it be ironic if we achieve that and have a fully open protocol subsystems and coming into producing that tremendous amount of data, and then that's where the open stops. When somebody's able to take that into a funnel, take that wide funnel, take it down into a single point of control, and they control it. Somebody that large enough like Cisco or Intel or even Dell. Is that feasible?
Oh no, Kenny. I think that's where we find the rub, so to speak. In other words, everybody talks open, but are they talking open to the point that they can then take it and make it proprietary again? Because at the end of the day, I think especially in our culture, as probably most cultures, we have this monopolistic sort of view that if whatever we can control, we can monetize. I mean, it's good business, right? So if you can have everybody else be open, but it gets to a certain point, like your platform, and then at that point you've got the customer locked in, you've got the best of all worlds there. So it's fascinating. How do you define open, and is it open throughout the entire data chain, or is it just open to a point?
Well, Eric, Therese Sullivan made a great point on our ControlTalk 2.0, which is another post. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to bleed into each post at the very beginning, but just to continue that process is a matter. If you could make something proprietary by creating a security encryption, and then in order for that encryption to be decrypted on the other side, you have to have the same protocol. So in other words, we're playing against things that are really subtly monopolistic, like you said. In order to get the best security, you reduce the number of threats and the number of vulnerabilities, and then by doing that, you create a single, transaction for encrypting and decrypting in your security leg of this the protocol issues. And that could be a way too that things could happen where they become monopolistic. Is through the security. The need for security creates a need for encryption and, of course, decryption. And by doing that, next thing you know, there's only one person or one provider. And so it's really interesting, but it's just going to keep on growing. And I think, as you always say, that's what Control Trend is all about. Is that's a major trend. It's a major issue, and we want to keep as many eyes on it as possible and report as currently as possible.
So what are we going to call this? This trend, Kenny? Because back in the day. We might, shout out, be like Paul Revere and shout, "The British are coming! The British are coming!" I mean, what do we call this trend? The IT folks are coming. The
disruption. I think this, to me, that you're right. It's IT folks are coming, but I think it's just the technologies, the industrial technologies, like the post you said last week, where they're doing things very well on an industrial level and have been for a long time. And IT and the cloud folks. Very, very, forward. Their applications are probably more sophisticated and more complicated. They look over to the building management world and they say, "What is the big deal?" Like Rick Warner said, we should be plugging controllers in like we do our printers and like we do our network devices. To make that difficult is it has been a luxury, not a luxury, but a way of monetizing the technology, and now it's being challenged. So I don't think we can say the British are coming, but in the IT. We'll have to think that through, Eric. But it has to have the word disruption in it.
Well, I tell you what, we might be, because as you know, we are going to cover, and I know this is a segue, Kenny, I'm going to get off track here just for a minute, but as you know, you and I are both going to Europe to cover EasyIO's Worldwide Conference. We're going to be making a stop in England, and as well as other places, and I think part of that goal is we want to sort of dive deep into the technologies that are in Europe. See who might be coming over. So we might be going, the British are coming. We might come back saying the Germans are coming with Sysmec. Ken and I just think of us as being your Paul Reveres in this a little bit. So we've got our eyes open. Like I said, we've got a vested interest personally in making sure that we understand how this business is going to affect everyday traditional folks in the automation industry like us and the building automation people that we support.
I think I realize now where we're coming from, Eric. It was just the 4th of July, so that's where our our inspiration's coming.
There you go. Well, Independence, yeah, it's gonna be cool. And like I said, we'll talk later in the show more about this. We do a deep dive with Therese Sullivan and Rick Warner. We'll get to that post a little later. But Kenny, let's stay on track. What do we have up next, buddy?
All right, next up we have Automated Buildings July theme. Our Assets Are You by Ken St. Clair and the AutomatedBuildings.com. Ken St. Clair was also nominated for a Digi Award, but it's just a great issue. Again, it's the buzz is still Realcomm, IBCOM, and Ken's trying some new. Therese Sullivan's helping him, so they have a graphical presentation. It's more people-centric. It's July theme, and the crux of Ken's article or his theme of his July issue is that he saw a tremendous amount of technology and. Just an amazing architected, interoperable, integrated, IP-centric, smart, connected, high-performance intelligent buildings. And despite all this incredible technology, Ken's takeaway was that people in our industry many of them who are part of the automatedbuildings.com collaboratory are still the cacheable and most important assets, not the technology. So I thought that was pretty good. Ken's a very, very, very intelligent, very pragmatic thinker, and it's fun to hear his comments on things. But no matter, at the end of the day, you're only as good as the people in your organization.
I couldn't agree more, Ken. I think there's so much to that, and I encourage everybody to check out automatedbuildings.com, Ken Sinclair's post. I mean, I think we all have different sources we get information from. I think Automated Buildings is one that has to be on your list, as well as Control Trends. We're trying to stay on top of it. And then, Therese Sullivan with their buildingcontext.me is really sort of plugged into the whole Silicon Valley where a lot of this stuff is coming from. So you can gain a lot of insights from her stuff as well. But at the end of the day, it does get back to people. And I think anytime you look at, it gets back to, I think you gave the analogy, Kenny, a book that we both read back in the 80s, John Nesbitt, Megatrends, right? And Nesbitt was talking a lot about, had a thing called high tech, high touch. And his premise, which I found to be true over the decades, is that anytime you have more technology, which is high tech, that the differentiator can become the high touch or the human interaction. So those go hand in glove. So I think Ken Sinclair, as usual, is right on it, where he is saying that at the end of the day, you got to have the technology, you got to keep up with those trends, but don't ignore your people, because that is what is going to make a difference.
Well, and I appreciate that plug too, because the next article I got coming, or next blog for Control Trends, is an article or a commentary on the high tech, high touch, and the product Comfy. We saw a company out of the Silicon Valley that's taken that to this truest form. In other words, we have all this incredible technology, building management system, but people don't trust it. They feel as though there's just a cog in the wheel. They go up and they turn a dummy sensor, dummy thermostat, and they don't feel any response. Well, here comes this high touch Comfy thing where it's on your phone. You have three options: heat, cool, or I'm comfy. And then you hit it, you get an instant surge of hot air or cold air. And you talk about high touch. That is so amazing. But again, I don't want to give the complete article away yet, but and you help inspire that, because we need to keep this contextualization in context. We need to put it in some sort of an order that we can understand it and present it. And that's a great opportunity, is through that high tech, high touch concept, show a product that's actually embracing that and delivering that, and then the impact. People are happier. 62% of the people are saying, I'm comfortable, finally. I'm in an environment where I can actually feel as though I've got control over my space.
Well, Ken, I completely agree. And I think it gets back to, a couple of things. I think that corporations are realizing that being socially responsible vis-a-vis the environment is a competitive advantage. So if you are a real estate firm, it's been shown over and over and over again, if you have a LEEDs or an Energy Star or some sort of a program in place where you're being environmentally, what's the word I want to use, environmentally...
sensitive, responsible?
Yes, responsible, environmentally responsible, you're going to have higher occupancy rates. You're also going to have be able to charge more per square foot in lease space. I mean, that's been proven over and over and over again. So if you think about that, and then couple that with what we learned from Johnson Controls at their conference, Kenny, with the Generation Y that's coming along. And that generation does things for their own reason. They are very concerned about the environment. So if you give them the tools, vis-a-vis what Comfy's doing, where they can get immediate feedback and they can feel like they're having an impact, not just on their personal environment, but on the environment as a whole. That Absolutely. Is a recipe for success, an absolute recipe for success. So that's where Comfy, I think, really brought the best of social media in. I think they really understand, the mind of the Generation Y people that are coming along, and they've incorporated that in such a way that their product is gaining a tremendous foothold. You can't do the placebo effect anymore. You can't BS people. You got to give them the goods. You got to give them the ability to be more environmentally responsible vis-a-vis saving energy, and guess what? They'll do it. And we talk,
sure.
Yeah, we talk about, and this is where people like Eugene Mazzo at DG Logic, Scott mentioned at J2 Innovation, and those guys play such a critical role, because people need immediate feedback. So if you can put an energy dashboard in your lobby of a building, for instance, which, by the way, Ken and my companies, Ken Spires being at DMS Controls and me at Stromquist, can help you that, or we can put you in touch with your local distributor. But a dashboard like that where they can see the effect they're having on the environment in real time. Studies over and over, Kenny, have shown that people will participate, they will do their part. But if you devoid them or take away their ability to get the instant feedback, and if you take away their ability to see how they're affecting things, guess what? The placebos don't work anymore. You got to have the real deal. And maybe that's a trend we'll have, the real deal trend regarding energy management. So the encouraging news
Control. Hey, but just real quick on those, the percentages will be in the article coming out. But with Comfy, people participating in that, there was 29% saving in one section and 22% savings. So the heating and cooling calls were down. People were more conservative because they actually felt when they didn't need it, they turned it off. So they say, I'm comfy. But another thing too, Eric, real quick on the high-tech, high-touch, was the high-touch was the instant gratification and response, the lack of a placebo effect. But the high-tech is that this Comfy is actually working as very sophisticated algorithms in your zoning system to give you absolutely the best zoning control the building management system can deliver. So there is a win-win there.
Well, Kenny, real quick question for me.
So, is Comfy an algorithm that you could use with anybody's VAV system, or do they sell the controls as a whole package that you get?
No, that it's a device and it's an application you download so that you got to walk around with a smartphone, and basically you download Comfy and it'll have 3 bars. I want heat, I'm comfy, and I want cooling. And so this will be tied into a device on the network that speaks BACnet. So any of the building management systems that have BACnet as a protocol can use Comfy, because what it does is it's a layer on top of your building management system. You connect to the network, and what it does is it provides these algorithms on top of the building management system that controls your VAVs. So you're still using sensors, VAV box, but this thing now gives you more accurate sensed location. So you got this, you've got your high precision location sensing into play, and then you've got these sophisticated algorithms. So you're not heating these spaces. What they do is they have these very long deadbands. You're really good with the PIDs, and you understand how that works, right? Well, they widen those deadbands so that the call for cooling and heating are minimalized to the point that you must be present in an area to get the heating or cooling to that zone. So so if you're moving around, it doesn't heat zones that aren't occupied. So very clever stuff. Very high.
No, it is clever, Kenny. And so what I'm hearing you say is I could have a system with Honeywell VAV controls, or Johnson Controls VAV, or KMC, or anybody's. I can just put this on top of it as an overlay and take advantage of this amazing technology.
More precise sense location zoning, yes.
Perfect.
In fact, the company that you go on their website, they're looking for people to sell it. They're looking for people to distribute it. They're looking for end users to use it. So and they're looking for investors. So it's an up and coming thing. It was a very neat opportunity to meet Miss Lindsay Baker.
Oh, she's sharp, Kenny. Wow, she participated at Ivacon Realcom in the session that you moderated, which was awesome. So here, I'm going to reach out. Here's a call to action to our audience. If you'd like us to get Lindsay Baker on and maybe do a demo on one of our shows on control trends, reach out, comments, let us know, and we will reach out to Lindsay Baker, who is very articulate, very bright, and again, comes from the Silicon Valley, right, Kenny? So she's...
Oh, yeah, and she worked on leads. I mean, we're talking about a bunch of bright people. They're all PhD candidates. So you look at their team, on the Comfy website. I mean, they're all really, really, really well schooled on the science, the psychology, it's not just a whim. This thing's very in depth as far as the like she said, it's engineered. It's scientifically engineered for the building management side of it. It's scientifically engineered for the psychology, with people providing them with a very simple web and mobile interface. It's a very it's a science, but they're using that sensed location stuff. So it all begins with a smartphone. They've already analyzed the privacy issues. So it's just a great product, and I think it's going to be successful. We'll get to see it because we got to see the launch, we got to see the introduction, meet the people, and then we'll just see how well that product takes off.
Well, I tell you what, Kenny, speaking now, my businessman thing from Stromquist and Company. Hey, if anybody from companies listening, Stromquist.com is definitely interested in maybe handling this product for you guys. Sounds great, Kenny. Sounds like a no-lose situation. Everybody wins. That's the way we like to roll. What we have up next, Big Dog?
All right, we'll get back to a little bit more, slow things down a little bit with just some good news. We reported previously that Belimo was moving to a new location. Well, the word's out now. They came out with a nice customer letter. It says, Belimo is delighted to move forward and thanks you for your continued business and support. Dear customers, on October 1st, 2014, Belimo Americas headquarters will move from their present Danbury location to a new energy-efficient headquarters at 33 Turner Road in Danbury, Connecticut. And the calling, faxing, emails will not change. I could tell you, Eric, that I've been to there. I visited while it was still under construction. It was actually construction, so I couldn't go up to the road. I didn't have a four-wheel drive, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't have tried it. But this thing's located on Mount Olympus type of thing. So it's Mount Belimo. It's beautiful. And it's gigantic, 200,000 square feet. And it's going to be says the new building features expanded production capabilities, ensuring quality products with industry best lead times, state-of-the-art HVAC control valve design and testing laboratories, hands-on training facility for Belimo University courses. So you're going to see more of that. Probably Belimo's going to get into bring a lot more people to their facility and give them that hands-on education in the actuator and valves business. Improve space and facilities to better accommodate employees and the ability beyond disability. So, Werner Buck, Hall of Famer for the Control Trends Awards, that was a project he started, Ability Beyond Disability. So that he took people from the community that had very little chance and opportunities to become, involved in the community and involved in business. They have a special program for them at Belimo. And finally, a full range of interactive product demonstrations throughout the facility. And there'll be more detailed information to follow. So, well done, Belimo.
Absolutely well done. And Kenny, I was speaking with Gary Weber the other day from Belimo, and you and I are going to get up there and do a video tour of that facility so our Control Trends community can check that out. But Belimo is a state-of-the-art company. They don't do things halfway. They sticklers for perfection. So if they say this is going to be state-of-the-art, then guess what? That's what state-of-the-art looks like. So I'm excited about checking it out.
Me too. Well, Eric, the next post is going to be one that we're probably going to dwell on because it was probably one of the most important posts and blogs and Control Talk 2.0 that we've ever done. And that was breaking down the 2014 IBCon. Does Intel want to eat your lunch? And I'll tell you what, you start that off because that was your title. And I know exactly what that means. And I said about move the cheese, but give me your 411 or give us your 411 on what is Intel all about? Where are we going with this?
Well, I think we, as we've talked about a little bit at IBCon and RealCon, we've talked about it a lot on Control Trends and written a lot about it. The industry is changing. Jim Young from IBCon and RealCon told us 2014 was going to be a pivot year. We weren't exactly sure what he was talking about until we got to the IBCon conference. And there was Intel, there was Dell, there was Cisco again. They're all there. They're all coming into our space in a big way, and it's going to affect all of us. So I think part of what we're doing, again, is Independence Day. We're raising the flag. Hey, wake up, pay attention. This is going to affect you. We don't know how yet, to what degree, but I don't think these guys are coming into the market and are going to leave again. We just talked about company and what they bring to the table, so they're going to be creating value. So two things, one being we're creating a new format, a new show to add in addition to this. We don't know what we're going to call it. We might call it Control Real, we might call it Underground Control. We're not sure yet. As a matter of fact, if you got an idea for us, the name of this show, I'll tell you what the purpose is. If you got a name for this show, send it to us in comments or at controltrends@gmail.com. But what we basically want to do is we want to have a core of 4, if you will. So it'll be me and Kenny, Therese Sullivan and her unique perspective, and probably Rick Warner, the innovator, because then we'll have somebody that has an absolute perspective from the integrator standpoint. And then each time we do this, it might be a monthly broadcast, it might be bi-weekly, but we will have 3 or 4 additional guests on it. We'll be covering different topics. Well, we wanted to reach out and get this one started, especially with IBCon, RealCon 214, fresh on everybody's mind. Rick was there. He had very interesting perspectives from a systems integrator's perspective. Therese, who sort of has a foot in Silicon Valley, was, I think, able to offer some perspectives on how these people tend to move. I'm talking about the Silicon Valley people. And then, of course, Kenny and I were there, so we gave our take. So the topic this week was really and truly, we used the title, does Intel want to eat your lunch? Well, they might want to eat your lunch. They might want to share your lunch. They might want to pack your lunch. We don't know yet, but it's a conversation, and the best way to get things sort of out in the open is to talk about it. And that being said, we harbor no animosity at all towards Intel. As a matter of fact, if you listen to the dialogue, one of the things that was sort of postulated was perhaps this is the best thing that ever happened to our industry, having these new players come in. So that was sort of my take on it, Kenny, and I'd be very interested. We're going to be doing these things at least once a month. So if you have a name for this show, we don't want to call it Control Talk 2.0 because that's kind of dated, and we had that show before. We would typically interview one guest. This is going to be more of a topic-based type thing where we have a topic and we bring in industry experts. So we will typically have our core of 4, if you will, and then we'll probably bring in 3 or 4 other guests. We'll have 7 or 8 people on these at the same time, and it'll be focused on having a conversation that hopefully enlightens everyone that is participating as well as everyone who is watching.
Well, I'll tell you, Eric, it's going to be a great opportunity to let people become involved as soon as we hear things and know things, because I think ultimately we're going to see responses from the big 4 in the HVAC industry that we're most familiar with. It'd be very interesting to see how Siemens, Honeywell, Johnson, Schneider Electric respond to these. And as far as we know, they might already have relationships with them, and we just kind of like discovered it. Like you said, Jim Young told us that 2014 was going to be an inflection point where things would never really be the same again. And I think just by us becoming more concerned about our own well-being, not that this is going to happen overnight or a snap of the fingers, but when you see these kind of detailed structures, software layers and people putting protocols together, and we have a new open source protocol coming out, Yocto, or not coming out, but coming into being. This thing's very sophisticated. It has the Wind River workbench. I mean, we're seeing things that we haven't seen before, and it's not that you want to be overly nervous, but it's time to really make sure that you are handling the fastest, most price point sensitive controllers out there. It's a very interesting perspective when you have people like EasyIO developing these incredible FG32s and adding to them where they have dual processors and they have SD cards, and it's fully loaded with graphics and CPT tool, and then you compare that against some of the other choices you have. Well, if you don't keep changing your the arrows in your quiver, you're not going to be able to hit certain targets anymore. Certain commercial, like building commercial targets, but I think the Intel, the Dell, Cisco, they're going after that big vertical application with global, connectivities. Where you have the real estate people, the GSAs, the militaries, so that they can go into 50 or 100 facilities at the same time and create these incredible strategies that we might never see that market. So we might be getting a little bit nervous for no reason.
Well, we might be, Kenny. And what I'm really interested in is please check that out. I thought it was a very interesting dialogue, maybe even a little controversial. But check that out. Let us know what you think of it in comments, because we want to continue with that. We think that's the best way to get people informed and to make good decisions is get the people involved on the show so that you can see them, listen to them, and then you can formulate your own opinions. And then again, if you've got a name for us, that would be great. Control Underground, Control World, the Lost Art of Control. Who knows?
Control Real.
Control Real. That's the one Kenny likes. All right, Kenny. What do we have up next, big dog?
All right, Eric. Next up, we have Vivid Performance. Meet the Viconics VT8000 series thermostat room comfort controller. We had a couple of interviews this week. This one was with Simon Leblond, Schneider Electric's Director of Strategy and Marketing, Buildings Division, and this was also at Realcomm, IBCOM, the vendor show. But basically, Viconics just continues to release really exciting products. This VT8000, again, a lot of our business isn't the big applications, the big vertical integrated airports, hospitals. A lot of them are light commercial, hotel industry, the comfort industry, the schools and strip malls or whatever. And they just need very usable, user-friendly, very dynamic, touchpad screened interface thermostats or room controllers. And Viconics, year in and year out, delivers a model that just seems to be, they won the Thermostat of the Year award in 2012, and it was because they just offer so many options. It's just really cleverly designed, and it's very affordable. And it also can become integrated in any of the, backnet. LAN's coming. They don't have LAN available in the VT8000 yet, but it's coming. And then wireless. Wireless seems to be the Viconics strong point because, as you know, that they merged with Can2Go, and they were all bought by Schneider Electric, and they've combined those product lines. So you can really put together some formidable wireless applications.
Well, yeah, Kenny.
For sure. It's a gorgeous stat, and like you said, they're very clever because you can scale that stat, meaning that depending on what options you need, you can start with just a base sensor if that's you need, which is very, very price competitive. It's all under the same hood, so it looks great, but then if you want additional features, you can order those. So you sort of just get what you need, which makes them very competitive on bid day. But I have a question for you, Kenny, which is, I haven't heard much about Can2Go lately. That was such a hot product, probably still is. Are you hearing much about it? And if you're not, and I'm not, if anybody out there is working with Can2Go, please reach out in comments, share a little bit about your experiences. But talk about a great concept, and I'm just not sure where they've evolved to. But what about you?
Well, they came out real strong, but again, as markets develop and they get their channel established, the channel took it in different directions. They came out at first and tried to hit the broad swipe. They went through the Controls Group North America folks, and they did different things. And the concept is real successful. I know people that are selling it and they love it, but the number of players has been reduced. When I left, when Dave and I started the DMS Controls Group, we don't have contact with Schneider Electric, and so we don't sell Can2Go like we used to. The Can2Go, I think it's one of the probably one of the most quietly growing markets out there because it's just so. I don't want to say easy because it takes some programming, and it takes a very focused effort to put it in well. But once you get the wireless applications, once you understand that there's certain jobs that are wireless and certain jobs that shouldn't be, or there's a hybrid, but the ones that are wireless, straight wireless, Can2Go and Viconics, the combination of the two, provide a very comprehensive application for sensing, controlling equipment, and giving people that interface, because it's fully web enabled too. So Can2Go is a very formidable product. I think they've kind of slimmed down their channel, so there's not as many people that have access to it. And then I think the people that do have access to it are doing very well with it.
Well said, Kenny. Well said. All right, what do we have up next, Big Dog?
Well, this is again one of our control trends that will never abate is the IT security, and we have another post by Mr. Fred Gordy from McKinney's. Very bright guy who knows the granular aspects. So we have a post called Social Engineering in the Cyber Black Market. And again, it's not a doomsday style, but it's a straight shot, no holds barred approach. You got to know what's going on. You got to have a realistic approach. But he talks about how people's versions of these hackers are these guys on TV, and they look like they're ex-government or they're working for the government. You can't tell the bad guys from the good guys. But basically what he's talking about is that there's some very, very important weaknesses that we need to deal with as organizations. And if you go to the post, he talks about shoulder surfing, dumpster diving, we are predictable, I am supposed to be here. So he talks about some of the ploys being used for people to get access to people's networks and how they sell the stuff. And then the most incredible thing was that they actually have a site, or they had some sites where you could actually buy hacking software, or you could rent it. You could borrow it. Because people wanted to see your style and see where you were going, so they would let you use their tools, and then they would literally come back and then go back over your trails and actually do the hacking that you couldn't do. So, good stuff. Thanks, Fred, and please continue to provide us this great IT security insight.
Yeah, Fred Gordy from McKinney's.com here in Atlanta. They're just a fabulous systems integrator. They travel all over the country, do great stuff. And Fred, again, echo your thanks there. So Kenny, I've got a question for you. It sort of gets to what Fred's saying. What I've read and heard is that even with the military, the most sophisticated passwords, that maybe passwords are becoming obsolete. Fred alludes to it because people, dumpster dive, or they look over the shoulder, they say you enter the password, and you can change the password a bunch. But you know, I tell you what, the thing about passwords is, if you change them, you got to write them down someplace, which basically means you got a vulnerability right there. And you know, I heard a guy from England speak, and he was actually with their security over there in the military, and they've developed a security format, and his whole thing was, somebody's got to write the password. You can make the passwords longer and more complicated, but they get written down, and if they get written down, then you're vulnerable right there because somebody can find it. And as we know from Mark Peacock and the team at LinkSpring, that if you've got an open port, people write software that will just keep trying different combinations of passwords till they hack in. And then, as Fred said, you know, you get so many people that just, they'll look over your shoulder or whatever. You got to be super careful. But what this guy was proposing is a technology that will be interesting to see if it gets brought out, Kenny, is you basically take a photograph, right? You take a photograph of something you're familiar with, and it's a touch screen. So you got to touch 4 different points in sequence. So maybe it's a picture of you and your dog on a boat with a sunset. And so maybe the combination is you touch the sun, then you touch the boat, then you touch your dog, then you touch yourself, and that gets you access in. Now, according to this guy, first of all, you never ever write that down, because if it's a picture you're familiar with, you're going to remember that. Secondly, he says it's impossible to hack that, basically meaning that there's no software available right now that can hack that, because it's not numerical, it's not letters, it's an image. So interesting. Have you heard anything like that, Kenny? And do you think that's something that would be viable in our industry?
Well, yeah, I have heard of that, and I've heard the story style where you have a sentence, and you have maybe like 8 words, like my wife and I went to the store, and then they'll ask you what is the first word, 6th word, and last word. You know, and if you don't know that sentence, then you can't possibly hack that kind of a security device. But yeah, it'll just keep going on. You know, when I was in the military, and when I got out, I was in Germany. There was a very interesting seminar that would come yearly to Germany, and the security company I worked for, we'd hosted it, and it was, gosh, what was it? Control Consultants out of Tennessee, and they were security experts, and they wrote like the first FBI manual on computer security. But I got to see witness basically 2 of these really gigantic experts in their fields cross opinions on security and the ability to hack. And the one guy was from the government, and he said he was from the military. He was a civilian working for the government. And he said that it is a endless cycle. You will never cease to have people hacking, no matter what they do. And he gave us the stories of how they were using lava lamps to create randomity, you know, so that you could never be predictable. So they were doing stuff involving star counts. Take a picture of the sky and have a computer count the number of stars in this particular thing to create an impossible random number. And he said even anything they did, that they still had percentages and concerns that they will be compromised over time. So he said it just keeps on going. It's just like I think it was Bill Gates and Microsoft. I listened to one of the seminars on them about piracy in software, and how as soon as they get something done, they start on the newest version, because they know it's just a matter of time. It's before it's been reverse engineered and then black marketed and whatever. So they keep it's a wheel that never stops turning, basically. So to answer your question, I think that there'll be a good solution for low-level security, for maybe on the HVAC and building management level, but for the really important stuff, national secrets and energy centers and the utilities and the smart grid, they better keep working on stuff.
I agree. Well said, Kenny. Well said. All right. Well, again, with thanks to guys like Fred Gordy, we'll keep you up to speed on that. What do we have up next, Big Dog?
Well, this was a kind of a shocker. Cylon Energy Inc. acquires American Automatrix. This was another just gigantically hit post on Control Trends this week. On June 30th, 2014, and I actually think there was something that happened like June 16th, but actually the deal was consummated on June 30th June 30th, 2014. American Automatrix was acquired by Cylon Energy Inc., a subsidiary of Cylon Controls Ltd. Based in Manchester, New Hampshire. Cylon Controls is one of the largest independent control manufacturers in Europe and a leading developer of energy management systems with global distribution network. The acquisition marks over 60 combined years of technology and development and product implementation. And the thing about American Automatrix is always good, are always interesting to me is they're out of Pittsburgh, actually export. They're about 30 miles outside of Pittsburgh on Route 22, and I drive past their building almost once a week. And to think that Paul and Martha sold American Automatrix, it's God bless them and good luck. I know that Paul had his heart and soul in there, and Martha was a great CEO, and they did a lot of work around Pittsburgh, and it'll be interesting to see how that all works out with Cylon Energy.
Now, Cylon's a worldwide concern, right, Kenny? They're all over the planet, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they're out of. I know they are. They're. It's a Dublin-based. Well, here I can tell you the exact thing. More information was that Cylon Energy Inc. acquires American Automatrix to invest 7 million euros in Dublin-based energy management equipment manufacturer, Cylon Control. So Cylon Energy out of Dublin has a subsidiary, Cylon Controls, here in New Hampshire, and the Cylon Controls in New Hampshire actually acquired American Automatrix. The investment is being made through the ESB Novus Modus Fund, which provides general capital and management support to companies working in clean tech. Clean tech is another subject that will just go on, but Cylon actually evolved out of the University College Dublin. It was a spin-out company established in 1985 by Sean Giblin. And again, how nothing's staying the same, Eric.
Well, that's true. And who else we got in Dublin? There was another thermostat company that was in Dublin that had a really cool, I guess in Europe they consider them like the Nest. The Climote, was it Climote that was in Ireland?
C-L-I-M-O-T-E, Climote, you're right.
Yeah. Well, maybe, Kenny, when we get over there, when we're doing our European tour on the way to the EasyIO conference in Madrid, Spain in September, maybe we'll detour to Ireland. Maybe we can see Cylon and Climote. We can check that out. And hey, I want to just take a minute to encourage you guys, hey, consider going to the EasyIO event in Madrid, Spain. I think it's going to be fantastic, and what better way to meet and network with people from all over the world.
Well, it's going to be exciting, and we're also going to see Momet, the other Nest-style thermostat out of Madrid, Spain.
Yeah.
We made the arrangements there. We confirmed we were going to see them, and one of those 3 days that we're going to be in Spain. So we're going to see another thermostat manufacturer. They have a very cool thermostat too, and they reached out to us, and so we're going to be able to see them as well. It's going to be a very interesting visit.
Well, it is, and I'd like to reach out to, as you may or may not, well, as you know, if you follow Control Trends, we have a worldwide Control Trends community. Probably about 20%, 25% of our viewers are from overseas. So if you're somebody in Europe, Ken and I are heading to Europe in September, the middle of September, and reach out to us, controltrends@gmail.com. If you're a control manufacturer and integrator, like for Ken and I to stop by and see you, we'll see if we can work it in. We're planning on taking the video cameras and making this a very visual experience. If you can't get to Europe, we're going to bring Europe to you. All right, Kenny, what do we have up next?
All right, Eric, another great post. And by the way, we thank all the people that we had a couple gentlemen from the UK making comments and posts on the various things.
Pete Jones, right? Was it Pete Jones was one of them, right?
Yes, he was.
So we want to see you, Peter. If you're watching Control Trends, we want to try and track you down. We're going to be beginning with our friend, what's it? The lighting, our lighting. Mike Welch. We're going to be seeing Mike Welch for sure and some other people over there, but we'd love to catch up with you too, Peter, so we'll be reaching out to you as well.
All right, next up we have another interview post. Control Trends catches up with CopperTree Analytics, aka Delta Controls, who does it right. We got the chance to interview Keith LaRose, Director of Business Development at CopperTree, and he was actually thrilled about the Realcomm IBCOM vendor show. He said the people here really understand the space, and they are the influential decision makers. The CopperTree Analytics is a subsidiary wholly owned by Delta Controls and ESC Automation. It is an agnostic solution that works with anybody's control system, focusing on data analytics and building optimization. But very, very intelligent guy. Very, very. He loved his job. It's always fun to see people that really are just. You can't wait to meet somebody and talk about what they do, and compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. But they do the big analytic stuff too. So they're another. I would imagine they would be like a Sky Foundry or Data Pro or Data Eye, or one of those guys there. But it was the first time I met CopperTree and Delta, and we got to meet Ula who is the marketing manager for Delta, and she was very informative. So Delta Controls is, and I didn't know that, but you know that Delta Controls is a privately held corporation that's been manufacturing BAS controls, all made in North America, for over 30 years, and is the world's largest independent BAS manufacturer. Did you know that?
I didn't know it, but I want to welcome Delta and CopperTree to the Control Trends community. I know some independent dealers were aware of Control Trends and follow Control Trends because we know they got nominated for some Control Trends awards, but we never could get hold of their corporate people to really help them push that through. So I think we have that linkage now. So welcome to the Control Trends community, and let's see how they do in the Control Trends awards this year, Kenny.
You know, Eric, I apologize. It's Una de Boer is the director of marketing for Delta. Una.
Very, very sharp lady. Very sharp lady. She saw us hanging around with the cameras and came up to us and basically said, "Hey, you guys need to come over here and check us out." So we were thrilled she did that, and really a nice interview. So be sure to check that out.
All right, Eric. Yeah, like I say, the Realcon IBCOM show was just so enormous, very much like the Niagara Summit, in that there's so much more information that peels away from it. I consider it like a NASA launch, you know, when we take all the technology for specific reasons, but then once other people see it and catch on to it, they take technology and they apply it in different directions. So it's really cool to see the number of players at the Realcon IBCOM, and who knows, you might start selling Delta controls after that, huh?
Yeah, you might. Well, like I said, it's a fantastic show, and we've still got tons of video footage that we're editing. As a matter of fact, I still got video footage from the CGNA meeting, the vendor showcase. So if we came by and interviewed you there, we still got some of those we got to get up and edited. We still got stuff from the Niagara Summit we got to get edited, and of course, Realcom IBCON. So it's, again, Ken and I work all day during the day, so I edit videos at night, and Ken writes posts at night, so we're going to get there as soon as we can, but we really appreciate the opportunity to interview people, do videos of them, and show the rest of the world what products and people are available. And speaking of that, Kenny, I know we got the DG Lux coming up, but maybe it's a good segue now let's hop in and talk about the Control Trends Awards for a sec. You down with that, or do you want to finish up in sequence?
No, I'd love to. And the reason why is that we just got an email from Ken St. Clair about just as you were saying, and I got a little peep, and then I went and saw what was there, and Ken St. Clair asked us about, is it possible to have a Control Trends Award for young folks in the industry in Chicago? But it's getting exciting, Eric. Here we are in, beginning of July, and, now we're, like you were saying about being busy, we apologize to people if we didn't get back to you right away, but it takes all weekend to recover sometimes, but we're not complaining. We love it. The more the merrier.
Yes.
But the 411 here, the information, we are going to have the 2014 Control Trends Awards at the Hyatt Regency McCormick Place. And that's at the main AHR show. In fact, we're so fortunate. We thank LinkSpring as our sponsors. We're going to be able to have AHR members go from the actual trade show, 7-minute walk through the contiguous building into the Hyatt Regency's ballroom, and attend the Control Trends Awards. So we expect it to be very, very busy, crowded, because it'll be so convenient for a lot of people that couldn't make it last year because of the snow. It's going to have, we're going to be going through the sponsorship phase, and we really appreciate our platinum sponsors. Without their help, we couldn't do this, but it's already, we're locking in dates, we're locking in all the information, Eric. We've
Well, yeah, Kenny, I got some, got some good news and some bad news. So I'm going to be the bearer of the good news, the bad news. The bad news first: the platinum sponsorships are going up from $7,500 a year to $10,000 a year. That's the bad news. But the good news is, if you have been a platinum sponsor, or any platinum sponsor of the Control Trends Awards, you are grandfathered in for life at that rate. As long as you continue to be a platinum sponsor, you'll pay $7,500 from now on. If you miss a year and don't want to be a platinum, then you're going to have to go to the higher level. The other good news is that rate will go into effect August 1st. So if you're somebody else out there who is on the verge, wants to be a platinum sponsor, if you sign on before August 1st, you'll get the $7,500 rate, and you will be grandfathered in at $7,500 from now on. Same is true for the gold and silver; those will be going up too. So, but the good news is, if you've been a sponsor in the past, you're locked in at that rate as long as you continue to support the Control Trends Awards. Because Kenny and I take that money and we make it bigger and better every year. And this year is no exception. And I think, Kenny, with the new format, we're going to have a lot more people there. The thought process being, you do the show, you probably got a night event that you're going to go to that's probably going to start around 8 o'clock or thereabouts. You walk out of the show, you go to the most exciting thing that's going to happen at the AHR show, which is going to be the Control Trends Awards. If you don't believe us, go to the Control Trends site, look at 7 minutes of enchantment. That'll give you a feel for what it's like. Kenny and I are committed to honoring the people, products, and companies that make our industry great. So we are going to just turn it up a whole nother notch. You want to be there. People that have sponsored the event tell us it's some of the best marketing collateral they've ever spent. If you're a platinum sponsor, your name's going to be on the big walkway behind the red carpet interviews and stuff like that. So tons of that. Reach out to me and Kenny. We can talk you through it. But the operative word here is get busy now. Do it now, because it's just going to get more expensive if you wait. All right, Kenny, that's what I have to say about that. That's the good news, the bad news, and was some of that ugly? Or?
Well, the work is just, we really appreciate it. But, what it's all about is, we thank everybody for helping us benchmark the new dimensions of insight, recognition, and prestige given to the superstars and heroes of our HVAC control and building industries. And then, not to beleaguer anybody's patience here, but we're trying to make the controls industry, the HVAC industry, an important place. We're trying to upgrade the image, and it's very interesting as we're talking here, because a gentleman from UK was saying about how the problem they have in UK too is that it's a great industry, $118 billion industry was valued last year, and we don't have the image that you would have if you're a great doctor or a great medicine. Of course, I'm not trying to make an analogy that medicine and building management and engineering are very analogous, but I'm saying that we don't have prestige that we should have. Some of the corporate people that we have in our industries are magnificent leaders with brilliant ideas, the products, the ingenuity going in there day in and day out. We talked about Comfy. What a brilliant idea to make an impact in our world. Our forums to bring these people and elevate them into global attention and recognition are limited, and we are trying to create that one of those media vehicles, like you said, to generate probably the most effective marketing collateral you can get in our business. The way things are changing, you need trusted, vetted sites like Control Trends that does the homework, that brings things together so that you have an opportunity, a platform, a vehicle to bring your stuff to market as quickly as possible to the greatest informed group of people in the business.
Well, that's true, Kenny, and if you think about it, there's a reason people spend so much money to advertise on the Super Bowl, because it's worth it. And I'm not saying we're the Super Bowl, but I think for our industry, it really is. We're trying to create a glamorous Hollywood type event that really shows off the incredible people that are in our industry. And I think the people that have attended it will tell you we're doing a pretty good job of it. We're going to keep getting better at it. So again, reach out to us, controltrends@gmail.com, or contact me or Kenny. We can get you hooked up. But your help is greatly appreciated. We can't do it without our wonderful sponsors. And I tell you, Chicago is going to be a lot of fun. So can't wait to be there. All right, Kenny, I think enough of that. Let's take us on home. I know we had, one more or two more posts?
Well, we just have the recognition. We have a charming and beautiful young lady was our poster, July 4th poster child. What can you tell us about that? Well, the 4th of July used to be one of my favorite holidays when I was younger. I mean, we always played the baseball all-star games or some all-star game, and the day at the pool, and then the big picnic afterwards. Things are changing now. The kids are growing up and everything, but always an important holiday. Not to again overdo things, but it's a very important thing, 4th of July, and we put a did you know sort of thing in there about 3 presidents died on the 4th of July, and it was actually July 2nd, just that kind of stuff. So that was kind of a neat thing. So just give us the real quick. How'd you spend your 4th of July?
Well, like I said earlier, we were over at the lake house with Anna's parents, and her mom brought Evelyn Grace, my youngest daughter, a really cool little red, white, and blue dress, and Anna gave her a flag, my wife, so I had to take some pictures of her with that, and it was great for me because my older daughter Britt was with us too. So Britt and her little sister had a great time together, and the 4th of July is a great opportunity to sort of take pause and really just sort of appreciate how fortunate we are and how appreciative I personally am for the opportunity to work in this industry with these great people. So happy 4th of July to everybody out there. Actually, it's the 6th of July now, but happy 6th of July.
Well, with the post dated. Our last post was a DG Lux 5 training post. Become a DG Lux 5 expert. Training July 16th through the 18th, 2014 at the DG Logic Inc. headquarters in South San Francisco, California. Well, I'll tell you, that would be fun just to visit San Francisco. But DG Lux and DG Logics are really and truly pushing the envelope on the latest and greatest workflows, shortcuts, and tips about the basic principles, concepts, and knowledge necessary to develop and support applications. So that it's a very hands-on 3-day course, instructor-led. And it goes into they ensure that you will walk away with the shortcuts, tips, best practices, and advanced knowledge of DG Lux that you'll need to be creative and efficient in engineering cutting-edge user experiences in your areas. So,
yeah, absolutely. Be sure to check that out. I know some people say it's a little pricey. I say you always get what you pay for. These guys provide great quality and great value. HTML5 is where it's at. I think you get a lot of that experience with it. So be sure to check those guys out. It's a great training job with you, Kenny. Going to San Francisco would be great. So, all right, buddy. Well, listen, I think we're right at an hour, so we're going to wrap it up here. So, again, I'm Eric Stromquist. He's Ken Smyers. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a great rest of the weekend. We'll see you next week on Control Trends. And have a great week and stay in control.
indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers.
Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melodies pure and sweet, singing, this is my message, singing, don't worry about a thing, every little thing is gonna be alright.